manage all that and how they interact. The other thing that I would do is, or I would suggest that people don't do, that I see a lot of, is chasing the brand new shiny toys. Social being one of them. You know, you've been in an agency or been in marketing, you get the social, the CEO comes to you and says, what's this social thing? And then the marketing director freaks out and says, oh God, we've got to get into social. You know, and they're not doing search right, they're not doing display, they're not doing the fundamentals of online advertising. They don't have a CRM program in place so that they can mine their existing customers and cross-sell and all of these things. They're not tracking the functioning of their website, making sure that consumer path. I mean, there are some basics that you have to do before you get into that. I mean, social, you know, Nike and Coke can do it, but they have billion-dollar budgets and they've done everything else under the sun, and it makes sense. But the other thing too, if you go that route, you got to look at it as more of a branding play, because it's not going to be competitive. It depends. I don't want to say that across the board, but for the most part, it's just not going to pan out. Right.
You're siloing social again. And there isn't, and again, I don't want to turn this into, you know, last week's, because I wasn't invited to speak last week at the social one. Not saying anything, but, no, and I'm a firm believer in social media, but there are elements, again, I think search got siloed, and I think people started to silo social media as well, and it really comes into your marketing mix, and you have to find out what's right for you. Now, he's right, we get clients all the time jumping at the shiny things. I mean, we have to be on this Twitter. Well, why? Well, we need a company blog. Well, why? You need to know why you're doing that. But there are elements that will play into your search campaign. I mean, just like doing a press release. I mean, you can push out press releases. Now, is that truly social and interactive? Well, there's an element of it that is. So there's definitely things that will tie into it.
Just to add to that, I think one thing that you need to do is search engines run on an algorithm. That algorithm factors in multiple touch points, multiple different things. There's your relevancy score, there's keyword density, there's your link popularity, there's all of this. And if you optimize, you've got to have, from an SEO perspective, you can't rely on social, because what happens if Google comes through and says social just doesn't make sense, people are taking advantage of it, and they pull that or give less credit to that in their algorithm, and then all of that positive momentum you've just built goes away completely, and you're back at square one. So you need to look at SEO as a bigger picture. Yes, that's one element, and there's value there. But I think from a standpoint of performance, social is a great branding play. It's great to get your name out there and obviously leverage other people's passion and networks and say, I like this, I'm a scuba diver, and this is the best diving spot I've ever been, and you tell all their friends and let that leverage it for you. But from a standpoint of getting someone to take action on that and click through, you're not going to see the return. We've done too many campaigns on Facebook with their pay-per-click model and all of those other types of things. It's just not going to pan out. Now, is there a benefit?
After they tell all their friends and it passes on Facebook, don't you think someone will Google the equipment though? And then who gets credit for it?
That's true. But that's just, you're leveraging, you're not actually, from a paid standpoint, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, absolutely from a brand. But is that something that, I'm not saying you're not there, I'm not saying you shouldn't be listening to the social sphere and finding out what people are saying about you and answering that. You absolutely, if anything, that's what you should be doing, is listening and saying, what are they saying about me? Is there something I need to cut this off the pass? But the reality is, if you try to aggressively go out there, it just depends on your product. The other thing too is a Nike and a Coke can go out in the social marketing environment because it's cool and people want to be associated with it. Skittles, for example, has got a great social media presence because people like Skittles, and I want my friends to know that I like Skittles. But no offense, Bronto comes online, I'm not going to say I use Bronto.
I'm not saying.
But I mean, you get a good, you can't leverage it because people don't care. Or people aren't necessarily that proud. Or people get their employees there that say, I work at Rock Interactive, isn't that great? But their friends don't give a crap. The reality is. So, I mean, it just depends on the product.
Oh my God, you guys.
I got to say one more thing, and then I'll shut up. You have to be in social. And I'll leave it at that. Mark and I respectfully disagree, and that's okay. But there's an element that you have to be there, and then I'll drop it. So.
I have one more thing. thing that's unrelated to this, and it was actually, it's really granular, but message mismatch, that happens a lot of times. People will have these really strong text ads, and then people will actually go to the landing experience, and there will be no association, and it really causes, you know, some conversion issues. And so I think if people can be thoughtful about that, because I think what people have a tendency to do is try to change their text ads, see if they can get some more clicks, but then don't take a look at the landing experience. So that's another thing that I think that you have to be really strong on.
That's right, that's going to burn your quality score too, right?
Yeah, it is.
Well, I think we've had some exciting discussion about social media and LinkedIn stuff. Now is my favorite time of the panel discussion, and that's where I get to ask you guys for your input in the form of questions. So, does anyone have a question for our panel? I see one hand up, 2, 3, okay. I saw your hand up first, so I'm going to walk to the back. That's a fun one.